Welcome to The Explainer. All right, today we're going to break down a mental model that can seriously sharpen every choice you make. It's called thinking in bets. We're going to explore how you can make much smarter decisions, especially when you feel like you're flying blind.
So, let's kick things off with one of the most argued about moments in the history of sports. Why? Because it perfectly shows a massive flaw in how we usually think, and that is confusing a really bad outcome with a bad decision.
I mean, think about that for a second. This one question kind of challenges everything we think we know about good choices versus bad ones. To really get why, we need to set the scene.
Okay, picture this. It's Super Bowl XLIX. The Seattle Seahawks are on the 1-yard line, about to win the whole thing, with just 26 seconds on the clock. Everyone expects them to just run the ball in. But nope, Coach Pete Carroll calls for a pass, and it's intercepted. Just like that, game over. The Seahawks lose.
You can just imagine the fallout, right? The media, the fans, they immediately called it the single worst call in sports history. The backlash was just absolutely brutal, and it was all because the outcome was a total disaster. But here's the real question. Does a bad result automatically mean it was a bad decision?
Well, this type of thinking error actually has a name. It's called resulting. It's our natural tendency to judge a decision based only on how it turned out, and we completely ignore the quality of the thinking that went into it. Here's the thing. A good, well-thought-out decision can still have a terrible outcome, and a really dumb decision can get lucky. Resulting totally blinds us to that reality.
And let's be honest, we do this all the time. It's so easy to sit back the next day and say what should have been done. This is us being Monday morning quarterbacks. And it's not just about sports, not at all. It creeps into how we look back on our careers, our finances, and our personal lives. And it actually stops us from learning the right lessons from our experiences.
So, how do we fight this bias? How do we overcome it? Well, it really requires a major shift in our thinking. We have to start seeing life less like one game and a whole lot more like another. Just think about the difference between chess and poker for a minute. In chess, everything is right there on the board for you to see. There are no secrets. It's a game of pure skill in a world of perfect information. But life is so much more like poker. Your skill is hugely important for sure, but so is luck. You're always working with incomplete information. You can't see what cards the other players are holding, and you have no idea what the next card will be. You know, our brains are hardwired to look for patterns and to create order out of chaos. We absolutely crave the kind of certainty you see on a chessboard. But the reality is, most of our biggest decisions are made in that messy, uncertain, ambiguous world of poker. And honestly, that makes us really uncomfortable.
And this really gets to the heart of it. Every single decision you make is a bet on a particular future. We've got to stop labeling our choices as simply right or wrong just based on the outcome. Instead, we have to start seeing them as bets we placed using the best information we had at that moment.
Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, right? But how do we actually do this? Let's shift from the big idea to a couple of concrete tools you can start using literally today to make better bets in your own life.
The first tool is incredibly simple, but so effective. You have to get out of your own head. Why? Because you are the absolute worst person at spotting your own biases and blind spots. The solution is to build what we can call a truth-seeking group.
And look, this isn't some new idea. The philosopher John Stuart Mill was talking about this ages ago. He argued that the only way to get even close to the truth about something is to hear all the different angles from all different kinds of people. You need people who will challenge you, not just nod their heads.
So, what does a good buddy system actually look like? Well, first off, the goal has to be accuracy, finding the right answer, not just proving you're right. It needs accountability and lots of different viewpoints. And maybe most importantly, this is not a fan club. It's a sparring partner for your ideas. It's a place where disagreeing isn't just welcome, it's actually encouraged. Okay, our second tool is a little different. It's all about using different versions of yourself as your decision buddies. This means bringing your past self and, crucially, your future self into the room when you're making a choice. You've got to hear comedian Jerry Seinfeld's bit about his night guy versus his morning guy. Night Jerry stays up super late, watching TV, having fun, without a single thought from morning Jerry, who then has to wake up totally exhausted. It's hilarious, and it perfectly captures that internal battle we all have, the fight between our present self, who just wants to feel good right now, and our future self, who has to deal with all the consequences.
So how do we give our future self a voice in the present? Well, you can do it with a really simple exercise. First, just recognize the conflict. Then, consciously imagine the consequences of your choice. What will it feel like in 10 minutes? What about 10 months from now? Or even 10 years? The real key is to try and feel that potential regret or that potential satisfaction before you make the choice, and let that feeling guide you.
All right, let's bring this all home. In our final section, we're going to see how all these ideas come together in one simple two-word phrase that can totally reshape how you approach every single belief you hold.
Now, we've touched on this, but it is worth saying again. Every choice we make is a bet. When you decide to take a new job, you're betting that future will be better than staying at your old one. When you invest in a company, you're betting its future is bright. You are literally wagering on one version of the future.
So the next time you state an opinion or a really strong belief, just ask yourself this simple question. Want to bet? Now, this isn't about actually gambling money. It's a mental tool. It's a little gut check that forces you to hit pause and really think about how confident you actually are.
So why is this so powerful? Because it immediately shifts your brain from a defensive mode of I'm right to a curious, open-minded one. It makes you really look at your evidence, admit there's some uncertainty, and think in shades of gray, in probabilities, instead of just black and white absolutes.
And this is really the ultimate takeaway. The quality of your life, in many ways, depends on the quality of your decisions. And the quality of your decisions depends entirely on the quality of your beliefs. So if you want to make better bets, you have to start by building better, more accurate beliefs.
So we'll leave you with this question to chew on. Think about a belief you hold really strongly. Would you actually bet on it? If you find yourself hesitating, even for a second, that's your signal. That's your cue to go back and re-examine the evidence. And that process right there is the very first step to making much, much smarter decisions.